Hey guys, it's Thursday and we've got one more day of distance learning and then your summer can officially begin. Um, you've got some work to do for tomorrow and then there will be no more work to be turned in to me. You'll just have to keep up with your caterpillars and keep up with your reading. That's all that I ask. And you're done. That's it. Um, Let me show you. Clover's barking. Let me show you my caterpillars for today. My caterpillars are getting really, really big. They are still eating. There's lots of frass. There's lots of webbing. There's lots of molting that they've done. So they are getting bigger. They are preparing to climb to the top. Once they climb to the top and make that J shape, then you know they are ready to start making a chrysalis. And the chrysalis is what they make when they start transforming into a butterfly. And science lesson for today. You know, in Eric Carle, he's got the Very Hungry Caterpillar book. He says that the caterpillar makes a cocoon and turns into a butterfly. Well, that's actually wrong. Butterflies make a chrysalis. And moths make a cocoon. So if someone tells you, oh, look, your caterpillar is making a cocoon, it's making a chrysalis. If these were turning into moths, then yes, it would be a cocoon, but they are not. They are turning into butterflies. So butterflies make a chrysalis. Moths make a cocoon. Okay, so if anybody tells you, you can set them straight. Okay, so all of your caterpillars are going to be making a chrysalis. Okay, so new fun science fact. All right, we're going to go ahead. Oh, send me updates. Let me see your caterpillars. I want to see how they're doing, if they're getting bigger. If something seems like it's wrong with your caterpillar, send me some pictures. Let me know. Maybe your little sibling shook it. Maybe it fell over. I've got one actually in the next room. I got a few extra ones that have their own cups and one that's not growing like he should be. And sometimes that happens. That's just the way things go. Out of so many things, sometimes they all don't make it. So if you're having any problems with yours, let me know and we'll talk about what we can do about that. Okay? We're going to go on to chapter 17 in our book, Why the Children Decided They Had to Get Rid of Mrs. Drazil. So if you remember Mrs. Drazil, she's doing all these great things. She listens and she's a great teacher. She's interesting, but she made Louis shave off his mustache. He had to wear nice clothes, and they've decided they're not really sure about her. So in this chapter, they're going to list all the reasons why the children decided they had to get rid of Mrs. Drazil. So you can mute me, read by yourself, listen, or read along with me. Number 1, she was nice. I made cookies for everyone this morning, Mrs. Drazil announced. Everyone cheered. Number 2, she thought up ways to make learning interesting. I made 5 dozen cookies, she said. There are 12 cookies in a dozen. So who can tell me how many cookies I made? Joe waved his arm back and forth. I know, he said. Okay, Joe, said Mrs. Drazil. How many cookies did I make? 5 dozen, Joe said proudly. Number 3, she was patient. Yes, I made 5 dozen cookies, said Mrs. Drazil. I told you that. But how many cookies are there? 5 dozen, said Joe. But how many cookies are in 5 dozen? Asked Mrs. Drazil. Huh? Asked Joe. How much is 12 times 5? Asked Mrs. Drazil. Just a second, said Joe. Can I use pencil and paper? Certainly, said Mrs. Drazil. Joe took out a piece of paper and a pencil. He wrote the number 5 on the piece of paper, then tore it into 12 pieces. 60, he said. Nobody quite understood Joe's mathematical methods. Number 4, she was fair. Yes, there are 60 cookies, she said, and there are 28 children in the class. So how many cookies should each child get? Phoebe raised her hand. 100, she said. You can't have 100 cookies, said Mrs. Drazil. I only made 60. Make some more, said Phoebe. I made 60, said Mrs. Drazil. I'm not making any more. Okay, Phoebe said with a sigh. I'll take 60. We have to divide them evenly, said Mrs. Drazil. How many cookies should each child get so that every child gets the same amount? John raised his hand. Everyone can have 2 cookies, he said, and there will be 4 left over. Can I have them? Asked Phoebe. Allison raised her hand. Everyone can have exactly 2 1/7 cookies, she said. Very good, Allison, said Mrs. Drazil. And John, you were right, too. She gave everyone exactly 2 1/7 cookies. Number 5, she was a good cook. Best cookies I ever had in my whole life, said Stephen. Everyone agreed. I got the recipe from Miss Mush, said Mrs. Drazil. You did, several kids said together. I just added a pinch of this and a little of that, said Mrs. Drazil. Number 6. She knew what a goozack was. Jason, could you please open the door? She said. Everyone gasped. What's the matter? She asked. You said the D word, said Dana. Door? Asked Mrs. Drazil. Everyone gasped again. You're supposed to call it a goozack, explained Dana. Who said so? Asked Mrs. Drazil. Mr. Kidswatter, said Dana. Mr. Kidswatter is a goozack, said Mrs. Drazil. Yes, Mrs. Drazil was smart. She was nice. She made learning interesting. She was patient and fair, and she even could make Miss Mush's cookies taste good. But she made Louis shave off his mustache, and so she had to go. So, they don't like what she did with Louis, so they've decided they need to get rid of her. So, tomorrow we will read Chapter 18, The Blue Notebook. And you know that's the notebook she doesn't like anybody to touch. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Y'all have a great evening and enjoy your last day of work tomorrow. And I will be back with another video, and I'll see you later.